Pierre Poilievre was in Halifax doing one of his rallies, and at the Halifax Harbourfront Hotel, there's a Marriott, and it was packed. The room holds, if in theater style, holds about 800 people. People who are on the ground, police officers, were predicting it was closer to like 2,000.
Yeah.
Liberals, not happy to hear that. There's like, you guys are lying about your numbers as you always do. This thing only holds 800. You're saying 2,000 were in there? And I'll be like, I'm being honest, based on how hot I was,
yeah,
I think so.
Yeah. So at one point they had to open up the entire wall on the other side. And as soon as they did that, I was like, oh, that's what air feels like again. And the people were still coming. They were filling out past where they opened the wall. It was wild how many people. They had like velvet ropes all set up, or maybe I think it was actually like pleather ropes.
Yeah.
Set up to try and create corridors so that people could exit and enter the space, and people had filled that entirely. I was one of them filling up that spot because there was just nowhere left to stand. People were literally bumping into each other. There were so many people in that space. And like you said, it was so warm.
Dude, it was super warm. And I mean, I got there probably about 45 minutes before he arrived or got on stage. So I got there when it was only people in the seats. And there wasn't really anyone standing at the time. And I was like, okay, like, I guess there's still time. We'll see where things go at. And then it just kept filling and filling and filling. And I was like, I was getting pushed to the front. Those who were watching our live stream on TikTok, I kept getting pushed further to the front. And it was wild. Mm-hmm. And your boy, I'll admit, made a mistake here during his time at the rally. So we're all waiting for the start, and you can tell what happens is they're running late. I think Poilievre had a late lunch. That's likely what happened. He was running late. And so they had a couple buffer moments where they had one guy show up. And he's like, yeah, how are you guys fired up to axe the tax? And I was like, oh, yeah, please. And he's like, oh, okay, awesome. Are you ready to spike the hike? And everyone's like, yeah. And you can tell this man's just drawing this out as long as he possibly can. And then he's like, okay, cool. Pierre's going to be coming soon. And he gets off the stage. 5-10 minutes goes by. Woman goes up, and she is trying to be an MP for the Cole Harbour area, and she's going to be running. I'll trust that she'll do a good job if she gets in.
Very poorly spoken.
Public speaking, not her strength. And we were doing our best to be with her, but she, showed she led the moment of silence for Mr. Mulroney. Mulroney's passing. And she's like, we're going to take a moment of silence. And we're just like, cool, let's take a moment of silence. And she takes her moment.
And then a few more.
and then she took her moment, looked up, looked to the side, looked at somebody, and was like, oh, okay. Looks back down. And looks back up, looks at him. Oh, okay. She does this about 3 or 4 times. And I was like, oh, wow, I don't know what's going on right now. This is wild. But then your boy had an intrusive thought. You didn't get those thoughts, and they kind of come out accidentally. Yeah, that happened to me. And we got to record it on tape. That's the worst part. And those who are on the live streams know what I'm talking about, but this is what ended up happening. I think that was 5 moments. Sorry. Whoops. Didn't mean to do that. And I did that, and you could hear, I said, I think that was 5 moments. And then you heard me, oh, sorry. Because everyone around me darted their eyes right at me. He's like, what did you just say? I was like, whoops. Did I say that out loud? My fault. My apologies, y'all.
Yeah. I'm not a fan of Mulroney at all. And like,
I know you hate him.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm not a fan. I think he was a terrible prime minister. And everybody's like, oh my God, it's passing. It's so sad. I'm like, no, it's not.
Wow.
Screw you.
Dude, he died.
Yeah.
Have some respect
Great.
for the dead.
Yeah. Do we respect other terrible people? No, we don't.
Oh.
So
are you putting on the Hitler level? Is that what you're doing right now?
No. I'm not a liberal. I don't call people Yahtzees for no reason.
Yahtzees. Oh,
but as far as like terrible people go, though, he was a terrible person, terrible leader. He like brought the party down to like the lowest levels that I'd seen in forever. Like, I just don't understand how people are like, oh the great leader, Brian Mulroney, he was Prime Minister of Canada. I was like, do you remember what he did? You're still paying, you know, that part of the HST that goes directly to government, the GST part. That's him. You're welcome. We're all talking about axing the taxes, and you're praising this dude who brought one of the biggest taxes in. Why? Screw off. Not here for it. You're like, it's 5 moments. I'm like, 5 moments too many. Like, let's get on with this.
Yeah, so I get you. No problem there. Yeah, there was definitely a lot of hardcore conservative party line people that I was surrounded by, and they definitely made sure to voice their displeasure with me at that moment. And I said, whoops. Anyways, we carried on.
Lots of pearl clenching, right?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
I was like, yeah. Well, he was also like definitely the people I could tell was like anyone who like spoke against anything of their values, you could tell like the people get fired up. Yeah. And so, anyways, we can move on. Poilievre comes out. People are cheering him on. Awesome, doing his thing. Speaks on all the different types of issues. A couple of things that he brought by that were new to me. I thought were interesting, especially the stuff around First Nations, and then as well as allowing workers who are flying out west to like write off all of their expenses going out to work out west. Mm-hmm. I think is pretty cool. Those are things that really stood out to me. But what are some things that stood out to you?
So right off the bat, so I was standing there with our friend Kyle, and I said to him, I was like, oh, look, I said, there's a bushel of apples there. And he's like, what? I said, notice how they're not red. And he was like, oh, no way. Pierre comes out and he's like, oh, yes, the apples, haha. And they're green. And I was like, nailed that one.
Yeah, I could see that going.
And then the other thing I said too, I was like, how much you want to bet he's going to say that joke about, you know, Trudeau with his hands in his own pockets. And then he's like, and Trudeau had his hands in his own pockets. I was like, yeah, call that one. But the thing that surprised me was it was St. Patrick's Day. So he talked about, you know, Irish heritage and things like that. And then he grabs a Guinness and takes a drink of the Guinness. I was like, that is going to go well for your electorate here. Like, that was a smart move. I was like, okay, good. So I was watching a lot of things from like a critical eye of like, what is he doing? What is he saying? I went to the Justin Trudeau rally back in 2014 when he came to the Public Gardens. I was all pumped up. I was like, yeah, this guy, he's going to do so great things for Canada. Like, $1 million smile. He's going to be great. I remember seeing him in the Public Gardens and going, man, you should never meet your heroes because that guy stunk. It's like, he is the worst public speaker. And so I was expecting that kind of a response from Pierre. And then when he got out there and he spoke really eloquently, I was like, oh my God, this guy actually is the real deal. I was very surprised because I thought, no way is he actually going to be able to keep up with the crowd and keep that momentum and actually react to the crowd in ways that sticks to the party platform, but also speaks legitimately and uniquely to the crowd. So I was like, wow, okay. Good for you. Like, man actually invested in some public speaking skills, which is what we'd like to see in a leader.
And he's sharp, right? Like, he's really sharp too on top of that. But yeah, I was interested in that as well. I'm like, the energy in that room was palpable. Yeah. It was like people were fired up. They were either super excited and hopeful or they were just ticked off. Yeah. But both energy. Out of 12. Oh, yeah. It was crazy. You could feel it. And so I was curious how he was going to respond to that. And admittedly, there was moments where I was like, I've been in big crowds before. I've been part of environments where people are fired up. I was uncomfortable at various points throughout this because of like where the crowd was at and where their mentality. I was like, what could happen here? And that one of those moments happened where a woman, brave on her accord, stood up and tried to speak out against Poilievre as he was talking. She got shouted down real quickly. People didn't want to have anything to do with it. But like, it was like her and this other woman who kind of flanked Pierre. And we'll actually show like the video here. Actually, quickly have it.
Do you have captured what she said?
No.
It was almost like, it was so hard to hear what she had said. It was inaudible.
All I got out of her was like her.
We see it like everything else is broken.
So here, Pierre's talking.
The reality is that after 8 years of Trudeau, there are 2 million people lined up at food banks right around the country. 2 million people standing on street corners. We will be having a...
This woman's flanking him, trying to do something, trying to show him stuff. He's like, hey, get out of my face. Where can he keep talking about 8 years of Trudeau? And so what I thought was, what kind of wigged me out a little bit about that situation was, I'm like, okay, they're protesting, doing their thing, whatever, they'll get escorted out. It was how swift and quickly security swooped in and dragged that 65-year-old woman out of there. Mm-hmm. I was like, mean, she's up there in age. Like, maybe a little more delicately take her out. But I was like, they treated her as if she was a 20-year-old young man.
Yeah.
And I was like, that part made me a little uncomfortable, if I'm being honest. But it is what it is. Security's going to do what they're going to do. If you're disrupting an event, you're taking your own safety in your own hands at that point. But I was like, gee, that one admittedly made me a little uncomfortable.
To flip it around, though, what I was impressed with is that when Pierre goes up there and he's like, and we have a problem with taxes in this country, and we need to bring powerful paychecks back home, and we need to cut the federal portion of your income tax. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, please, please.
Bless.
do more. Yeah.
Anyway, so that was a good moment.
Yeah. Like there's overall, I would say, it was a net positive event. Obviously, there's a couple moments that things are going to happen. They're going to happen. But as you said, I think you did a great job keeping up with the crowd.
Definitely.
Getting people fired up, getting them excited. And that's really what you can do and what you have to do in order to take down the incumbent.